everyone, my name is Kay. I've been selling on Etsy for now over a year. I'm a star seller, so proud. And let me tell you, let me just be honest with you. I would not rush to spend money on Etsy ads until I've checked this one thing. It's not the budget, it's not the daily spend, the listing. Because ads can bring people to your product, but your listing is what has to convince them to click, trust, and buy. So friend, before you run Etsy ads, I want you to pause for a second because I know how tempting it is to think, maybe if I turn on ads or run ads, the sales will come. But before you spend even a single dollar, I would ask one question first. Is this listing actually ready to convert? Because ads can bring people to your listing, but the listing still has to do the selling. Etsy ads don't fix weak listings. And this is something I really want you to understand. Etsy ads do not fix a weak listing. They don't suddenly make a confusing listing clear. They don't make poor mockups look premium. They don't make buyers trust a product they don't understand. They simply bring more people to see what's already there. More traffic sounds exciting, but traffic alone is not the goal. You can have people seeing your products and still not get sales. This is why I would not start by asking, how do I get more views? I would start by asking, when buyers see this listing, do they actually want to click it, trust it, and buy it? That is where the real work starts. So for me, the order is simple. Fix the listing, then test ads. I would improve the image first, the title, the mockups, the description, the price, and the tags before I ever spend $1 on the listing. Because ads work better when they are sending people to something that already looks clear and trustworthy. Before I pay for ads, I like to look at the listing like I am the buyer. Would I click this? Would I understand what I'm getting? Would I trust this shop? Would I feel confident enough to buy? And honestly, if the answer is no to any of the above, I would not rush into ads yet because you're not ready. I would fix that listing first. The first thing I would do is look at the thumbnail. The first image is so important because that is what stops the scroll. Before anyone reads your title, your description, or your tags, they see the photo. So if the thumbnail is blurry or too plain, too crowded, or hard to understand, people may scroll past before they even know what you're selling. A strong thumbnail makes your product clear immediately. The next thing I would check is the title. And this is where a lot of sellers overthink. You don't need to sound fancy. You don't need to force every keyword into one title. Then you need the buyer to understand what the product is. Clear but clever. A good title tells people what it is, who it's for, and how they can use it. Then I would look at the mockups. Mockups are not just there to make the listing look pretty. They help the buyer imagine the product in real life. This matters even more for digital products because the buyer cannot touch the item. So your photos have to do the work. Show the design on a shirt, a mug, a tote bag, a frame, a sticker sheet, or whatever makes sense. People are not buying the file. They are buying the idea of what they can create with it. Then I would check the description because a confused buyer will usually not buy. Your description should make the seller or the buyer, feel calm and confident. Tell them what is included. Tell them the file types. Tell them whether this is a digital or physical item. Tell them how to download it. Don't assume that they know. Tell them how they can use it. The more questions you answer upfront, the less doubts your buyer will have. Pricing is another issue or another thing I would check before ads because pricing is not just about being cheap. Your price should match what the buyer sees. If the listing looks basic but the price feels too high, the buyer may hesitate. Anyone would. But if the listing looks polished, it looks clear and valuable, the price makes more sense. Your images, offer, and price need to feel aligned. Then I would check the tags because the goal is not to just bring anyone to your shop. The goal is to bring the right buyer. Generic tags can attract the wrong audience. Relevant tags help your product show up for people who are actually looking for what you're selling. So think about what type of buyer you want. Product type, niche, audience, occasion, style, and use. This is how you start attracting better traffic. My dear friend, before you run ads, I would go through this quick checklist. Is the thumbnail clickable? Is the title clear? Are the mockups strong? Is the description helpful to your buyer? Does the price match the value? Are the tags relevant? If any of these are weak, this is where I would start before spending money. The most helpful things you can do is stop and look at your listing is to stop looking at the listing as the creator. Look at it like a buyer. A buyer does not know how much time you spent making it. They only know what they see. So ask yourself, would I click this? Would I trust this? Would I understand this? Would I buy this? That's one exercise. That one exercise alone can show you what needs fixing. So I would keep the order simple. Fix the listing, then test ads. A strong listing gives your ad money a better chance of actually doing something useful. And please do not overwhelm yourself with trying to fix your whole shop in one day. Start with one listing. Choose one product that you believe has potential. Then improve the thumbnail, the title, the mockups, the description, and the tags. One focused listing can teach you so much more than trying to change everything at once. To improve the listing, run the buyer test again. Would I click it now? Would I understand it now? Would I trust it now? Would I buy it now? If the answer is still no, keep improving before spending on ads. This is not failure. This is just part of the process. Trust me. Before you pay for more traffic, make sure your listing is ready for that traffic. Fix the listing, then test ads, then scale what works. Bye for now. See you on the next one.